Welcome, welcome to Loverage, Legacy, the Saturday morning show about all things legacy. My name is Dr. Stephen Hobbs. I am the founder of the Wealth Movement, and Lover's Legacy is one of our programs that we offer. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the content accelerator and pathway of the legacy matrix that is available to follow as you get to live from the legacy you intend to live. And we're just diving into that over the last two shows. I've done the first six of those, and we're going to do the last three of that legacy matrix. So stay with us because I think you'll find it to be quite valuable to you in terms of thinking through, feeling through your legacy projects, stories, and contribution. To be able to start this, I think it's important, and I do this every once in a while, is just define what legacy means. And legacy is about the useful whats that you gift others so that they might learn something from your lived experience. The useful whats in this case are time, effort, and money. How do you use your time, your effort, and your money for self and with others? And you're going to do it from the perspective of gifting or to be a gift to others. I think of gift from the heart, a present from the head. And what they're going to do is be able to learn something from you. And because of your lived experience, you might be an elder mentor and being able to share insights, inspirations, interpretations that might be of value to someone else. And I say might is because they may listen in, they may watch, they may read. It doesn't mean they necessarily are going to adapt and adopt. Yet you have influenced them. And I think that your gift, from the heart, is your ability to influence. Now, what becomes really important is when you're mentoring and someone asks you questions of your lived experience, that this deep and richer way of looking at the expression of your lived experience from a legacy point of view unfolds with you and the learner, mentor, protege, whatever term you'd like to associate with that. So that's the definition of legacy. And over time, we'll dig in more and we'll get our fingers into that seed bed and build foundations from this definition of legacy. But today, I wanted to look at those three elements off of the legacy matrix: the content, the accelerator, and the pathway. But do you know what? I think it would be important that I share a little something that I read. And it's very short, and it goes as following, and it has to do with legacy. Make sure you won't be the old person with no other evidence besides your age and white hair to prove you've lived a long life. Like, I know in my own life now, I'm pushing through 68. I'm going to be knocking on the 70 years young door here soon. I'm well into my next 50. And on other shows, I've shared that I did a little kicking and screaming coming into my 65 and beyond. Yet now that I'm here, I'm having the time of my life interacting with you around the projects and stories and contributions of legacy. And that really is my legacy project, stories and contribution, is to help you with yours. And this phrase that I just, this notion of age and white hair, you can tell I've got mine has certainly come on, is that I encourage you to focus in on your use of time, effort, and money. Remember in the definition I just shared with you, it's your use of that time, effort, and money that matters. And it matters for the things that you can do. And it's really about finding out the things that you're not going to do as well. And life, in terms of that dash between your year of birth and your transition year, depends how many more dashes you want to add in there. I know mine is filled with dashes, and I continue to add more, and I encourage you to do something that's similar. So your wise use of the time, effort, and money, the resources that you have available to you, please pay particular attention to them, set up your intentions and the awareness that goes with that. I'd like to just now turn some attention over to the notion of the heart row of the legacy matrix. 2 times ago, I talked about, sorry, this is the hands row, my apology. 2 times ago, I talked about the heart row of it. And then last week, we talked about the head row of it. And today, we're going to talk about the hands row of it. And this is really about getting into the doing aspect of it. So the notion of box number 6 on the matrix is the content, is that your legacy project and stories and contributions has some content wrapped around it. Now, you might have set up a movement, you may have written a book, there may be different ways in which your content is unfolding from you with others. And it's paying particular attention to that content that is so important. And that's why spending some time to figure out what that content is and how you're going to construct the delivery of it is an element of this legacy project for yourself. And sometimes it's sort of skirted over because you might think, and I've had people say this, well, I already know my content, I just want to get out there and share it. And I go, okay, that may be true, but is it in the words of those you're interacting with? Is it on your terms or their terms? Well, there's some parameters, some essentials that you've got to work out around this content and the assets and the management, the delivery of it. And that's why I think it's important to spend a little bit of time. And that's why there's something called the maker template that I offer up, and we go more deeper into it. And it really is like a formula, and it has 5 elements to it. The first one is to situate. So what's the situation you find yourself in? Does your content fit that situation? What do you need to learn about the delivery and anything else about what it is that you want to deliver, so that you're clear that you're giving what is truth and people can trust it, and there's a transparency go with that. Then there's the decisions around what's the best way in which to actually deliver. What media do you want to deliver? And media could be anything. Well, maybe I want to present it from stage. Oh, I'd rather write a book. Well, I'm going to shoot videos. I'm going to create an online summit. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join a nonprofit and show them how to do what it is that I'm keen on doing. So there's many media delivery systems that are available to you. Then you've got to figure out the actions, the action steps that you're going to take, so that you're very clear that it doesn't sort of look like spaghetti against the wall. It actually has a priority, a flow to it. One of the things that I have learned is if there isn't a flow to the action steps that you're taking, those who interact with you get confused, and a confused mind does nothing. So in other words, they won't participate, they won't assist you, they won't be recipients of what it is you're doing. So I always have to remember, do the actions have flow to them? And the 5th component is the outcomes, the contributions that you're actually making, the outcomes that you are looking to achieve for yourself and accomplish with others. Is it there for you? Now, again, this situation, learn, decide, action, outcome template, this maker template, we'll dive into on another one of the shows. I just wanted to give you a sense of this. That's what's backing the notion of your content and how you're going to convert it so that people can engage in a conversation with you around that. And yes, it takes a bit of effort and time assigned to it, but the reward that comes from clearly understanding it, it's priceless. And so I would encourage you to spend time in that area. Now, the next box you can go into is the accelerator, the Legacy Accelerator. Now, this is a program that we have available that helps you to take the content and the ideas that you have, the inspirations, and actually puts it together where you could go from content and develop your own accelerator program. In other words, doing it for yourself. You may find it's helpful to we do it with you. We won't do it for you because your legacy story is yours, but we'll do it with you. And that's what the Legacy Accelerator is about, is actually diving in there with you, figuring out what's going on, having some great conversations to be able to sort out where it fits into your legacy life and leadership and the legal aspects and the literacy and how you're going to leverage what you know. It gets you to in a sense, step back and reflect in and on what it is that you want to offer. Because I find sometimes, and particularly important to me, because I had to go through this as well. But when I'm sharing and we're developing the acceleration of your project, actually getting ready to put it out there and to actually getting it going in terms of like something like phase one, if we want to use that language, is that people bring a very scattered perspective to what's going on. So how can we bound it up, get that situation bound together and learn what it is that you want to deliver? That's the element of the done with you. And that's where one of the sweet spots that I'm really great at is mapping it out and figuring out what's taking place. And some people might go, well, I'm going to actually take it and create a business. Someone else might go, I'm going to create a charity. Someone else is going to go, I'm going to create a book series. There's a lot of different variations that you've got to look at to be able to bring this to the living your life and interacting with those who are going to be the recipients of what it is that you create. So the accelerator program that we have available takes up to about 4 months, can be 6 months. It's done with the assistance of an online support and one-to-one with myself or one of the elder mentors that can be there for you. And it's one of those ones where you would apply into, and there will be some information in the show more notes where you can apply to get access to that. And it's a great program because what it does is it actually clarifies from consistency what your project and stories and contribution are going to be. What it does is it gives you the confidence, right, with your contributions. So this contribution from confidence, you have the confidence to do what you want to do. So you've got the clarity, you've got the confidence. What it gives you is an opportunity to communicate with others from the commitment that you're making, the commitment that comes from your heart, through your head, through your hands, and is available for those who are going to interact with. It gives you an opportunity to collaborate from this notion of community, so that what you can do is figure out who you want to interact with to be able to fulfill your commitments and to get the clarity you have, to be able to have the confidence to interact. And then what it certainly does is you get an opportunity with your community to co-create, because this legacy is a co-creation. Can you do it by yourself? Certainly. Can you write a book and put it out as part of your legacy project? Certainly. But there's other people who are involved, your audience, your readers. If you're creating a water project somewhere around the world, there are those who are going to have to assist you, those who are going to be the recipients. So there's this co-creation that's going to take place to from this capacity building point of view is that you want to leave where you are better than when you entered in. So your book contributes and makes it better for others. The water project that you're working with makes it better for others. So you're establishing the capacity for the community that allows for commitments even within the community, that allows for confidence of those who are in the community in this capacity building, so that there's consistency. So again, these 5 C's, in sort of the sense of inspired, standards, wise practices that I referenced, they're in place for you. And that's what happens through the accelerator, because we're working with you. Can you do that on your own? Most certainly. That information of those 5 C's is available off the website in the videos. If you want the way in which to do it together, that's the with component. So we'll accelerate your legacy project with one another. And I guess the other thing that I would talk about a little bit right now, share with you, is the sense of the pathway. Now, one of the things that I have learned is that the pathway that I'm on, I call the approach pathway. And that approach is in contrast to the notion of the pathway. Sometimes what we do is when we create a pathway of our legacy, we're trying to figure out ways in which to avoid things from happening, maybe to lessen illness or lessen a situation. Where if you frame it from the sense of an approach, this is an approach to make it better, then it just helps to feed this heart, head, and hands aspect of living your life, to live from the legacy that you intend to leave. And I think that it's this mindset that's available to you is important. It also gives you the opportunity to find the satisfaction importance mix for yourself. So the pathway that I'm getting to is it speaks to what I call the sand pathway. And there are 3 kinds of sand that you can etch into. The program's called Etchings and Stand. And it links up to the notion of the sand through the hourglass kind of idea, is that you are got a full life, and as it falls down into the bottom section, is that you have an opportunity to really work with that sand. Now, I'll take that metaphor and I'll keep flipping it. That's another way of me talking about adding dashes between your year of birth and your transition year. Now, the notion of the lake sand, river sand, ocean sand. The lake sand is what you're going to do that has very much a local feeling to it. And excuse me, I think of it from the perspective is this is where you walk, run, or cycle. And if you're going on a pathway, you can walk the pathway, you can run it, or you can cycle it. And it just depends where you are in this local idea. The river one is what I call the transal. It's something of a project that you're using to move. And you might think of it as that am I in a bus moving around? Am I in a taxi, which gives you a bit more flexibility, or am I driving my own car? And that's where, again, is that you start to think your project's getting a little bit bigger as you move from this notion of local into something that is transal. It's across along the river. And then when you get to ocean sand, this is one which is very much from a global perspective. And with that one, what you're doing is you're sort of thinking about flying a plane, taking a spaceship, or you go so much as a wormhole into other galaxies, is that it's really big. There's more to take in. You've got to cover a bit more distance which to interact. So the notion is that where are you etching? Now, there are people who already got a legacy project. They're working with ocean sand. Someone might say, well, I think I'll start with my lake sand. Again, the etchings into the sand, drawing into it and figuring out what works, building your sand castles. All right, you might say that that's sort of like your modeling that you're doing. Again, having fun with that as it unfolds for you. So that's what I wanted to cover off a little bit today, was around this notion of what content idea with your legacy. If the accelerated actually bring it into your life and making it available, we can do a done with you aspect to that. We have a program called Legacy Accelerator. And then it's just to remind you about the kind of pathways that are available to you around the notion of lake and river and ocean sand. And I'll just remind you, remember that I keep switching over. I think that's another way to add dashes into that birth year transition year. So that's sort of what it is that I wanted to go over with you today. And I know as the shows unfold, we'll dive more into those, and there will be references to the other videos, the other shows that we've done, show number 2 and show number 3. So with that, I wish you well, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Take care.